everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Social Media Basics for Business. So glad to have everyone here, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your, what I assume is a very, very busy day to sit and talk with me about social media for business. So my name is Sarah Burke, and I am going to be your presenter today, and I'm going to be your host as well. But I'm also the content marketer at Spokal, and I've been doing this job for the last 10 months or so, and it's an amazing job, which gives me the opportunity to talk to small business owners and startups all the time and get to know what they really, really need. And one of the things I get asked a lot about is social media. And while I can answer all of these questions individually, I'm a firm believer that if one person's asking a question, there's going to be about 10 other people behind them asking the same thing, just not vocalizing it, just not feeling confident enough to actually ask that question. And the questions I get range from very, very basic questions to very advanced questions. But the one common thing that all the questions have together is that there's always this sense that you need a really good foundational understanding of social media in order to build a successful experience and a successful personality, a successful brand on social media. So the foundations of your social media presence is really, really important. So I thought putting together a webinar on the topic would be super useful. One, because I get asked this question or questions about social media a lot. And two, because it seems that to get social media right, you need to start out right. So you need to really have a good foundation. So here's a look at what I'm going to talk about today. Firstly, I'm going to discuss why social media is so great for small business. And then I'm going to discuss the top 5 social media platforms, and I'll go into a little bit of detail on those. And then I'll run through what to share, when to share it, how often to post, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, I'm going to finish with some actionable tips on how to get started. So I'm not just going to leave you with all that information and no first step on how to actually get started with that. So before I jump right in, let's just go through 2 housekeeping details. The first is this webinar will be recorded, and a replay of the webinar will be sent to you a few hours after the webinar finishes. And the second housekeeping detail is that there will be 5 minutes for Q&A at the end of the webinar. Like I said, I'm your presenter and your host today. So I don't have anyone looking through the questions as I go through my slides. So if you do have any questions, feel free to leave it in the chat box at the sidebar. But just to let you know, I won't get to them until the last 5 minutes of the Q&A when I open up this session to questions. So I'm not ignoring you. I'm just going to answer the questions at the end of the webinar instead. So now let's jump right in. Why is social media so great for your small business? This is like one of the most important questions you need to ask before you start talking about social media, because if you're not convinced that social media will benefit your business, then you'll probably be less likely to devote the time and energy to it that it needs. So if you don't understand that social media is really, really good for your business, and if you don't understand why and how it works, you're just not going to be as invested in it as you should be. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm on social media for personal use. It's a bit of fun. And they might not take it as seriously as it needs to be taken for it to be effective for a business. So when you see how social media is so great for your business, you start to take it very, very seriously, and you put the time and the energy into it that it really needs. So the first reason that social media is so great for small business is that everyone's on it. Now, this isn't normally a great reason to do anything, I know, but the thing is with marketing, if your audience is there and your competition is there, then you should be too. And if you're not, you're missing a huge opportunity. So people are on social media to ask questions, to get information, to start conversations. And if you're not there to answer those questions, to give that information and to have those conversations, you can guarantee your competition is. So 87% of B2Bs and 86% of B2Cs are on social media. So like I said, that's a huge percentage of businesses that are already on social media and already waiting and eager to take questions and have conversations. So you're not doing it, they're going to do it, and they're taking all your target audience away from you. 89% of 18 to 29-year-olds and 82% of 30 to 49-year-olds are on social media. And while this percentage drops, the older the age group, it still remains a huge percentage of each age group. So a lot of people say to me, oh, I don't think I need to be on social media. My target audience isn't there. I cater to an older audience. And my response is your older audience 200? Because unless they're about 200 years old, they are probably on social media. And if they're not already on social media, they will be soon. Because you know what? Like, even grandparents are getting on social media because their grandkids are there and they want to keep in contact with their grandkids on social media. So if you think that your audience isn't on social media, maybe because they're a little bit older, or they are in a profession that you don't think would suit social media that well, the chances are that they are there. So this isn't really a good excuse not to be on social media anymore. The second reason that social media is so great for small business is that it guides purchasing decisions. So consumers are 71% more likely to make a purchase based on social media referrals. Out of 53% of consumers who said that they use Twitter to recommend companies or products in their tweets, 48% actually bought that product or tweet. So people aren't just talking a load of nonsense. People are genuinely interested in products and services that they're recommending on social media. And 74% of networks to guide purchasing decisions. So why this is so specific to small business is that, small businesses for years and years, for hundreds of years, have relied solely on word of mouth marketing in order to gain business. So the great thing about small businesses is that you get this real personal touch with your consumers and your customers that a big business or the big behemoths don't give their target audience, but you can do that. And that's why word of mouth is so important to drive successful businesses, to drive success in small business. And social media definitely helps guide those purchasing decisions and helps people make those purchasing decisions. So it's very, very important. And even more specifically with the word of mouth that I was just talking about, 81% of US online consumers' purchasing decisions are influenced by their friends' social media posts. And 43% of consumers are more likely to buy a new product when learning about it on social media. So again, we have this word of mouth. We have this sense that when people are talking about a product or service on social media, that has a genuine impact on their purchasing decisions. And that's a mix between, that's a mix of word of mouth and just general visibility. So just being visible on social media. Speaking of visibility, social also helps with SEO. So social signals from likes, shares, tweets, etc. tell search bots that your website has good content. So this is a trend that's happening more and more. And every year when we get the search metrics correlation study and we look through this, we're seeing that it's becoming more and more obvious that search engine bots like Google and Yahoo and Bing are starting to look at how popular content is on, Twitter, Facebook. Google Plus is a big one as well. And they start to look at how popular that content is on those sites, and they rank it higher based on how popular it is on those sites. So they're taking those in as factors for how good content is, and they're rewarding that content by making it more visible in search engines. So how does social media actually work? So we've established that social media is great for your business, but how? Like, what's actually happening there that is so great for your business? And this is really important to understand because it helps you share more intelligently. It helps you talk to your customers more intelligently. And it also solidifies how important social media is for your business. So imagine that this is your website. A customer comes in and they have a great customer experience as usual, and they leave your store super happy, and they want to stay in contact with you via social media, as customers are wont to do nowadays. And when they keep in contact with you via social media, that gives you a second opportunity to engage with them and give them even more experiences that are amazing with you. So you can give them free content, you can give them discounts and coupons, and you can just share really entertaining or interesting information with them, and you stay at the top of their minds. So they're constantly, the next time they think, oh, I want to buy XYZ, they'll think, oh, well, they were really good the first time, and I remember them because I've been following on social media and they've been sharing amazing stuff. So I want that again, and I'll go back to them. But social media engagement has a secondary function as well. It drives social visibility, which means that more people see you. So when your customers that have followed you on social media are engaging with your pieces, so they're liking your blog posts, they're sharing your discounts or coupons, they're talking about that funny meme you put up, their social circles that you might not necessarily have as followers or friends or whatever on social media can see that they're sharing your content, and they might start liking you, or at least they will start understanding who you are, and they'll start being familiar with your brand and your business. And that means new prospects, and new prospects inevitably and very hopefully, but usually means new customers as well. So as you can see, there's two circles, there's two parts to this social media engagement. And the first is, like I said, retaining customers. So not just getting a customer and them leaving and that's it. Social media allows you to work on retaining that customer. So getting them to come back again and again and again. And the second circle is generating new ones. So social media helps your customers talk about you, and it encourages those conversations because it's social. So you have the two circles, you have the retaining customers and you have the generating new ones. So which social media platform is best for your business? You can't be on them all. There's a lot of out there. So we're just going to talk about the top 5 social media platforms. This isn't necessarily the one you're going to choose, but just to talk about the top 5, just to give you an idea of which one you're probably most likely to choose. So we're going to discuss Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. So let's start with Facebook, which is the most popular social media network out there. Everyone is on it. Nearly 1.4 billion active monthly users. Like, that's just a crazy number. And they're looking for text posts, images, visuals, memes, videos, anything interesting, anything entertaining, anything educational. And that's what makes Facebook best for, sharing photos, sharing videos, sharing textual, sharing anything interesting, entertaining, or educational. And it's used by B2Bs, B2Cs, nonprofits. Everyone can market effectively on Facebook because it's so diverse in what you can share on Facebook. The second most popular platform is Twitter. It has a lot of users with 650 million. They tend to be a little bit younger on average, but their income tends to range a little bit higher. People go onto Twitter to learn about the most up-to-date information that's out there. So news, trends, updates. It's a very, very fast-moving platform. This is where you'll hear the newest and most up-to-date information. It's kind of where information goes to initially become viral almost. It's where people are talking in almost real time. So information is being disseminated almost at real time pace. It's really good for sharing original content or curated content. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And it's great for sharing any news or updates or anything new or anything trending. It's used by B2Cs, B2Bs, nonprofits. It's similar to Facebook in the way that most different types of businesses can successfully market there. LinkedIn, however, is a little bit more specific. It's a business-oriented social media platform. It has 300 million people on it, but they're only on it for about 4 hours or less a week. People go on LinkedIn to learn about industry news, tips, advice, and just general business-related content. Because of this, it's become a great place for thought leadership. So not only to read pieces written by thought leaders, which is amazing, and it helps you become a thought leader yourself, but also if you do want to become a thought leader, putting content on LinkedIn is great for that. Mostly B2Bs market successfully on LinkedIn, so B2Cs don't find the same success as B2Bs do. Next is Google+, who has an audience of 550 million active monthly users, who are mostly men and mostly professionals. It's like Facebook in that people look at all kinds of content there, news, links, blog posts, videos, all content is highlighted quite well. It's best for increasing your expertise in searchability. I'll discuss that a little bit later, what I mean by that, but just quickly, it increases your expertise because the Google Plus communities are amazing. And searchability in terms of SEO, which we talked about a little bit earlier when I said that the more social likes and tweets and shares and plus ones that you get, particularly on Google Plus, will help your SEO, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. And it's used by B2Bs and B2Cs mainly. And finally, we have Pinterest, which is another niche social media platform with 80% of its 70 million active monthly users being women, and they tend to have a higher income. Pinterest is really all about visuals, so it's best for sharing visual content, and that's what people are looking for at Pinterest. So if you have a product that you can take high quality images of, or if you have a graphic designer, or if you're good at graphic design yourself, Pinterest is really, really effective, and it's used mainly by B2Cs. But you know, like Spokles try to use it a little bit, and it's not like super successful, but it's not super time consuming either. So it's one of those things that while B2Bs aren't amazing with it, but it's, you know, it's still not, we're still not 100% sure if it's completely useless for B2Bs, but B2Cs definitely fit with Pinterest very, very well. So of course, there are plenty of other social media platforms out there, and like I said, I just wanted to go through the top 5 to give you an idea of the platforms that you're most likely going to start on. But there are plenty of alternative platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, Snapchat, Tumblr, Sue, etc., etc. And sometimes these alternative social media platforms can actually work better for your business than more popular sites. So it doesn't do any harm to do some research and try these platforms out if you think they might suit your business better. So for example, I've talked to businesses where, you know, they're very, very visual, and Pinterest has been amazing for them, but Instagram and YouTube also supplement and even surpass how effective they are for them. So because they're a very visual business. And again, I've talked to other businesses who are a little bit more niche, whose appeal lies within the underground, let's say, and Reddit and Tumblr have been where they found the most success. So it really depends on your business. And if you're not on the more alternative social media platforms for personal use, so you're not really sure if they're for you, I would suggest just creating a personal account and giving it a day or two and seeing if you think it will work for you. So what do you actually say on these platforms? Obviously, it all depends on your business. There isn't a clear set of rules that you have to follow on social media. One thing works for someone, another thing works for someone else. But that doesn't really help you, especially if you're kind of unsure about where to start with social media. So I'm going to give you the 5-3-2 rule, which is often used as a template for good social sharing etiquette. And all this rule means is that out of every 10 pieces of content you share, 5 should be curated, 3 should be your own content, and 2 should be off topic, you know, like kind of personal, entertaining, just off topic kind of content. So let's go through that in a little bit more detail. So like I said, 50% of your content should be curated. And curated content is just content that is, you know, it's been created by somebody else. It's not your own. You're just curating it. You're just collecting it in a way, and you're disseminating it out into the public. So all you have to do is find relevant content in your industry that your audience will love. And to do this, you just make sure that you love it yourself. That's definitely how you start. You just read a blog post that's related to your industry and you say, oh, this is really good. This has been really useful. I'm going to share it with other people because I think my audience will also find it really interesting and really useful. And don't forget to tag or mention the source so that they can see that you're sharing, so that the source can see that that you are sharing their content, because that builds relationships with that source. Not all businesses are on social media. If they were, I wouldn't be running this webinar. So, you know, tag and mention them when possible. Sometimes they're just not on social media though. I'm just saying that because this morning I was curating content, and 2 out of the 5 pieces I curated didn't actually have any social media presence. So I was like, oh, okay, better make sure I mention that, like, so that people aren't spending tons of time trying to find these people on social media. You know, not everyone is on Twitter, not everyone is on Facebook. So only if you can. It's the polite thing to do, and it builds a really, really nice relationship with that person. And to find curated content, I kind of go through phases of what works best for me, and you probably will too. So at one point you'll use a lot of websites. So Scoopit, BuzzSumo, StumbleUpon, Medium is really, really good lately. The content on that is absolutely stellar. You can't find the same quality anywhere, in my opinion. So sometimes you'll use those websites, or you'll use a specific website, and you'll do that for a few days, and then you'll kind of think, oh, I'm not loving the content on this anymore, and you might go to social media and look up a keyword and find some really interesting content there, or you'll just look in your newsletter. So I always subscribe to, if I like a blog and I'm reading a blog quite often, I try to subscribe to their newsletter if I can, and I just get content basically directly to my inbox. And who doesn't check their inbox every day, a few times a day, constantly? So you're getting the content straight to your inbox, and that makes it really easy to curate it. The next group is the 30% of your own content. But when I say that, I'm trying to also warn you that it shouldn't be salesy. So social media is really, it's a place people go to talk to friends and to have fun and to be entertained. And for the majority of the time, people don't really want to be sold on it. They don't really want to feel like you're pushing your own agenda. And that's a very, very quick way for people to stop following you on social media. So I'm not saying that you can't ever be salesy. Like if you have discounts or coupons or a competition, people actually enjoy those. But just a post being like, buy us now isn't very effective. So your own content, from your blog, hopefully you're running a blog, and just it should be your content should be useful anyways. So just try not make it too salesy. Try to be sharing it for the purpose that you actually just think it's going to be useful to people, and personalize it and talk about it a little bit, give people a little bit more information, not just the headline. People will see the headline when they go into the blog post. So, entice people into reading it, and then don't forget to try use visuals where you can, because visuals get more engagement than just plain old text posts. And then 20% of your content that you're sharing on social media should be personal or entertaining. So this is where you get to have a bit of fun. This is where you get to humanize your brand and your business, and just kind of be a little bit silly or a little bit off topic. So this includes thoughts on life, quotes, satirical cartoons, jokes, statistics. I've even asked questions a few times, like, what do you think of this? Or what questions do you have about this or this or this? And you just get some really nice engagement by just asking questions and being a human. So definitely don't skip on that, even though it sounds like it's a little bit frivolous. It's not. It is an amazing way to humanize your brand. So now you know what to post. Let's talk about when to post. Again, this varies from business to business. So every time I give you like a rule, it's actually just like a very rough guideline. So I don't want you to be like, oh, Sarah Burke from Spokel said that we have to do 5-3-2, or we have to follow this timing guideline. No, this is just a guideline. It's definitely meant to be tested and tweaked and changed until you find something that works really effectively for you. So for Facebook, it's advisable to post 3 times a week. And every time I tell somebody this, they're like, no, I post on Facebook like 30 times a day, which is like fine for your personal accounts. Your friends and families want to hear from you. Well, I guess if you're posting 30 times a day, that they are you could probably reduce that. But you can post on Facebook in your personal account as much as you want. But for business, just remember, Facebook especially is this sanctuary. People are very protective about it. They do not want to be sold to on Facebook. It's where people connect with their friends and family. Like 70% of teenagers are actually friends with their parents on Facebook. So it's definitely somewhere that it's a familial and friendly community, and kind kind of like butting in with your own content is considered kind of abrasive. So 3 times a week is seems to be the nice medium for that. And it's also a good idea to post on Saturdays where people have time to wind down and actually look through their feeds a little bit more thoroughly. And they're not just kind of looking at their friends' posts. They'll likely see your posts on a Saturday. Twitter is really fast. It's updated so much and so often. So you not only can post a lot, you should post a lot. So every 18 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how many, actually depending on your audience and how many people they're following, really. You can share a lot of content on Twitter without annoying people, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. Pinterest, you can post as much as you want. Again, with Pinterest, generally, it's curated content, or it's just content that people won't see unless they're searching a specific keyword. So the chances of you flooding their pin boards are very, very unlikely. People don't kind of get annoyed on Pinterest for one business posting a lot. So post as much as you want. Google Plus is about 1 to 2 times per day. Not a whole lot of official studies done on this. This is what some of the Google Plus superstars say, and I am inclined to agree with them. And LinkedIn themselves suggest that you post 20 times a month to reach 60% of your audience, which is a crazy high percentage of organic reach. So 20 times a month, well, if you do the math, that's 5 times a week, and that's like 1 post per weekday. But again, 20 times a month, you can kind of disseminate that however you want to. So if you want to do a whole week of just writing LinkedIn posts, you feel free to do that. So I've given you a lot of information. How do you get started? Obviously, you're not going to be active on all 5 platforms straight away, and I wouldn't suggest that you do that either. It's not a good idea. My suggestion would be choosing just one and getting really, really good at doing that just one social media platform for business before you move on to another one. But how do you choose? So I recommend, and this is how I kind of make most of my decisions, creating a pro and con list. So I created my own pro and con list. And you can either use this to help guide you in choosing a platform. You can create your own pro and con list, but just to give you a few ideas, because you're probably leaning towards one already, and this could help you decide for definite. So with Facebook, there's a lot of people, and everyone shares content on it, which is great. That's the best pro you can probably have for digital marketing. And because most people are on Facebook, there's this easy communication that works really, really great for customer service. But it's quite noisy, and it can be quite hard to be heard through everything else. So a lot of other businesses are on it, and they're doing their thing, and sometimes it's hard to compete with that, especially if it's bigger businesses with bigger budgets and bigger ad spend. And to make things worse, it has a low organic reach. So even if you're posting a lot of content, a lot of amazing content, your followers and your audience are likely not going to see it, which is sad but true. Twitter, on the other hand, is noisy, but this is the reason businesses and people love it. They love that it's noisy. So tweets are really easy and quick because they're only 140 words, and it's great for marketing. So like I said, I was going to talk about this a little bit later. Tweets are Twitter is really, really amazing for marketing because 49% of people prefer to hear from businesses on Twitter. So people expect to be marketed there. And I think it's because Twitter is so fast moving that when you put your content up on Twitter, people are like, oh, no, I have to look at this for the next hour. It's like, oh, quick marketing message. Oh, okay, bye. So it kind of runs past people quite quickly, and they like it. And they can kind of pick and choose which marketing messages that they want to engage with and which ones they don't. The cons are that it's fast-paced with lots of people. So while this is a good thing, it means that you have to be almost constantly posting in order to be heard on Twitter. Twitter isn't great for image-based content either. So if you have a lot of high-quality photos, if you do a lot of video marketing, Twitter doesn't really highlight that content very well. Google Plus is amazing to talk to a super targeted audience. So earlier I said that Google Plus increases your expertise, and that's through the communities. The communities on G Plus are amazing. You can join a very, very specific niche community. So if you're, say, a realtor in Toronto, you can join Toronto real estate, and everyone who follows that group, even if it's only like 400 people, are all going to be interested in any content you share with them. So that's amazing. Also, if you're a realtor in Toronto, following that community and having conversations in that community and reading the content in that community will increase your expertise, because it's all so targeted. All the information you get there is going to help you. It can also have a positive effect on SEO. So like I said, search metrics correlation studies telling us every year that search bots are looking at social signals more and more. But Google Plus, Google is looking at Google Plus signals because it's their social media platform, and the more popular you are on their social media platform, the more popular you are in their search engine ranking pages, or so they say. The cons are that Google Plus is a really quiet place. A lot of people kind of make fun of it for being like that desert thing with the those dust bunnies kind of going across the savannah. It's not really. It's just more active in the communities, I think. So when you first go on your page, or you don't have a lot of friends, it can kind of seem quiet. But because of this initial reaction, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's really quiet. It's dead," and you might not give it the same amount of attention because it doesn't initially seem like a very, very active platform. And then another con is that it's quite similar to Facebook in terms of like its format and what content you share there. So a lot of people are tempted to share the same content on Google Plus as they do on Facebook, which, as we know, is never a good idea. Plus, people either love it or hate it, so you get a lot of people kind of that are maybe overly enthusiastic about Google Plus and might oversell it a bit, and then you get people who are overly unenthusiastic. I don't know if that's a way you can say that, but yeah, they really don't like Google Plus, so they're like, no, don't go on it. Pinterest gets more referral traffic than Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, and Google Plus combined, and your pins stay active for months. So Pinterest is very, very consumer facing, and the cons are that it's a small niche and it's not really for B2B, not yet anyways, and products work best. So businesses that have an actual physical product rather than businesses that just work through a service usually find more success on Pinterest. Okay, so I know which social media platform I want to start with. Yay, hopefully you do. Now what? The first thing you do is you create a business page. So all the 5 platforms that I was talking about today have a separate business page over a personal page, except for Twitter. With Twitter, you might actually want to use your own Twitter account, or you might want to start a new Twitter account that's more directly associated with your business. But yeah, all these platforms have their own separate business page, except for Twitter, and you need to set that up. Once you do that, really, really spend some good amount of time thoroughly filling out your page. So don't just set it up and be like, oh, done, and sharing the links everywhere. Definitely spend some time setting up your contact details, your about me section, your profile photos, and your cover photos, because all those things scream, I am a professional, I am a real business, you can trust me, I'm credible. And that's a huge foundation for online business. And then once you've done that, you add your social media links to your website and to your email, so that when people are having those great experiences on your website, or they're having those great experiences with you through email, that they can easily keep in contact with you via social media. So once your business page is set up and your page is all thoroughly filled in, you're ready to start posting. And the easiest and the most manageable way to do this is in batches. And by that, I mean scheduling all your social media sharing for the day or for the week or for the month in one go. This way, you'll be consistently sharing content without having to take the time out of every single day to do so. So, when you're on weekends, when you're on holidays, when you're just busy in meetings, you're still sharing content on a regular basis. There are tons of tools to help you automate your social sharing. And I would really suggest just finding one that works well for you and just sticking with that one. So some of the more popular options are Buffer, Spokal, IFTTT, Social Oomph, and Hootsuite. And I found that I've almost used all of them at one point or another, just being kind of more curious and just wanting to know, am I using the best tool for me? And I also still use more than one of these. If you're on Spokal, if you're using Spokal right now for your content marketing and for your inbound marketing, obviously Spokal, it's absolutely amazing. If you're already using it for everything else, please, like, it's perfect for automating your social sharing. But if you're not on Spokal, Buffer is amazing for kind of starting a queue and always having a queue going for sharing content, and Hootsuite is kind of the same thing as well. So the key takeaways I want you to leave this webinar with, and by takeaways I don't mean pizza, unfortunately, are firstly, do your research and choose just one platform to get started. Fill out your profile as thoroughly as you can. Use the 5-3-2 rule and the timing guide as a template to get started, but test it and see what works best for you. And then create a posting schedule and use a social media automation tool to share your content with your audience consistently throughout the week. So that's the end of our webinar today. Now I'm going to open up the floor to questions. So if you have any questions, I see that there are a few on the sidebar already, but if you have any other questions, please feel free to type them in the sidebar now. So the first question we have here is, any social media platforms to avoid? Let me see. Social media platforms to avoid. I haven't tried all of them, so I can't be like, oh, definitely don't do this one, definitely don't do that one. I've tried a few of them just kind of to test it out, almost because I'm getting questions about it. So I'm like, oh, I'll test it out so I can answer those questions. And one of them that I tested out and really didn't think was effective was Sue. So Sue, T-S-U-E, but it's pronounced Sue. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's like you make money from sharing content. It's not very much, but the more engagement your content gets, the more pennies you start racking up. And because of that system, it doesn't really, I don't think you get the same kind of deep engagement. I think you get a lot of surface engagement, just liking and a quick comment, just basically saying like, but nobody's really engaging. No, I don't think it's going to be great for actually getting customers, and so I don't think it's great for marketing on. Not that you should avoid it altogether, but I don't think it's going to be a very, very effective tool for marketing. How do you gain social media followers? It depends on what platform you're on. But I have a kind of three-pronged approach. And the first is to follow a ton of people. And a good portion of those people will probably follow you back. And once you've done that, unfollow the people who haven't followed you back, which I know is a little bit tedious, but that's a great way to get your initial followers, especially on Twitter. You can't really do on Facebook, especially if it's a business page, you can't follow people, but on Twitter, that's definitely a good idea. The second thing that applies to all social media platforms is to engage in conversation. So share content, especially initially, that isn't your own, and just start conversations about that content, because people want to talk about, people want to talk to people. So yeah, that's what social media is for. So talk to people, have those conversations. And the third thing is, what's the third thing? So engage with people, follow people, and my brain is going blank now. And join communities, and join communities. So like on Facebook, there's groups. On Twitter, there's Twitter chats. On Google Plus, there's the G+ communities. Join communities. That's a really good idea too. Is a good idea to hire someone to handle your social media accounts? I've been asked this question a few times, and a few people asked this question in the chat box in different ways, but the meaning is the same. You don't have to. It's kind of like when you're, just say you're running a restaurant. Is it a good idea to, for the, manager to hire a server and a cook and someone to work the tills and someone to greet people when they come in? Yeah, it's an amazing idea. If you have the budget to hire all those people, that's fantastic. But the reality is, for small businesses, you probably don't have the budget. So while it is a good idea, and if you have the budget, go ahead and hire somebody. But it's definitely not necessary. Linda was just asking there that is it a good idea to, let somebody intern with your social media accounts? And I've been asked this question too before, and I would say, yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's so funny because I think like businesses have gotten bad raps for, letting interns in and not paying them, and just kind of like almost like taking advantage of kids who need work experience. But at the same time, I know when I was coming into the workforce, I would have loved to try and get some experience, especially on social media, because that's where I wanted to work. And I couldn't find any internships that would take me on, because they were going to, older people who were really experienced. And just as a background for that, I'm from Ireland originally, and we were having a really bad problem with the recession. So people who were in their 50s were looking for internships, and people who were in their, 40s and 30s were looking for internships. So they had an incredible amount of experience, and they were getting these internships, which is taking advantage. But I mean, if you have, like Linda was saying there, that she has a niece who's 16, who would benefit from that, obviously. So in that case, an internship is a great way to get your social media presence kind of on point. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of work and a little bit of monitoring. So you're going to have to be careful to make sure that your niece or cousin, whoever it is very, very clear on what they can share, what they can say, and stuff like that, and give them some guidelines. But it will save you time, and I would give them experience. So I don't see anything wrong with that, as long as you're not taking advantage of somebody who should be getting paid. But if it's a younger person who, just wants to get a foot in the door and something on their CV, as long as you're willing to mentor them and kind of keep an eye on what they're saying and kind of even learn with them, I think it's fine. How much time do you spend on social media a day? I spend half an hour on social media in the morning to share our own content and to curate content. So with the 5-3-2 rule, usually, I don't really do the 5-3-2 rule. I do more like the 5-4-1 rule. So I do like 5 pieces of curated content, 4 pieces of our own content, and then 1 off-topic content. Just because it works more effectively with our customers and with our audience. Sometimes I do the 5-3-2. Sometimes I do 4-4-2. I just, I change it up, and it depends on if I don't see we're getting good results with what I'm doing, I'll change it and I'll do something different. And so, yeah, I spend half an hour doing that and sharing content in batches. Like I said, that's why social media automation is so important, because you do it in batches. So I spend half an hour doing that in the morning, and then I usually spend 15 minutes actually on the social media site. So we're kind of active on, we're very active on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Google Plus on behalf of Spokal. I'm trying to become more active on Reddit, and I'm also trying to get us onto Pinterest a little bit. So I spend maybe 15 minutes just like checking in on those social media platforms, 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on what kind of engagement we're getting in the morning. And then I do the same thing in the evening and just check in again. I don't go on social media during the day unless I get an alert on my phone, a notification on my phone telling me that something has happened. So somebody is directly talking with me and looking for a response, and that's when I'll go on social media during the day. I break up my routine to answer those questions, because that's really, really important, and that's definitely the first and foremost important thing on my list. Is to, if a customer is asking us a question, or has a problem, I want to address that as fast as I can, so I go on social media for that. But that doesn't happen very often. People generally use our in-app help, but when it does, that's the only time we'll kind of go on social media during the day. Or if there's a Twitter chat or like a hangout on Google Plus, I will take an hour to go actually be social, because that's what social media is for. So if you're invited to a hangout, if you're invited to a Twitter chat, or if you see a Twitter chat is happening, it's a really amazing opportunity to go and have a conversation and get to know people. And I don't know, I've met some really, really interesting people through those, and they've added me to their lists and added me to this and this and this, and shared my content, and just it opens up so many different doors. So so in general, about an hour a day, unless I'm making more of an appearance on doing something else. So I think that's all the questions we've had. If I've missed any questions, or if you have any other questions that you didn't think of, please feel free to reply to the webinar emails and send me a quick question. Or if you just want to say hello and have a little conversation with me, feel free to do that through email or, via social media. My Twitter account is at Sarah_Burke89. So feel free to hit me up and, say hi or whatever you would like to do. So until we meet again, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I wish you the best of luck with your social media marketing.